Good evening.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
How goes week 2 of Rom Com a month for you?
Well, we'll see. I don't want to give away too much too early.
Well, it's an official Rom Com month. You don't have to talk about the movie. The whole month
Oh,
is
the whole month,
worldwide. It's a worldwide
a
phenomenon.
worldwide thing. People are in love. People are walking the streets holding hands. Except, well, actually, they're not. The world's in terrible shape. I don't think anybody's holding hands or doing anything fun right now.
Well, maybe people are holding hands, but they're holding hands because they're stressed and afraid.
Yes, yeah. How's your week?
It's been good. It's been good. Same old routines. I did
Well,
have a fun time. I went to visit Mom. Hi, Mom. You might be watching. We had a great weekend and a lot of fun. And we went to my favorite movie theater, the Burns Center, which is this great art house. I probably mentioned it on the show before, but it's in Pleasantville, New York, which is about an hour north of the city. Great place. Jonathan Demme used to run it. So anyway, we went and saw the new Paolo Sorrentino movie, and he's one of my movie gods right now. One of my favorites. And saw his new movie and got to meet him. He did a talk back, and I got to meet my cinematic crush.
I heard that you got to chat with him a little bit, sort of one-on-one outside.
I didn't chat. Well, I wouldn't say it was a chat. I'd say that I was on the verge of embarrassing myself completely, like a 12-year-old girl in front of Justin Bieber or something.
I've witnessed that up close.
He, I don't usually go up to people and say anything because it never goes right. When does it go good? Unless you're introduced and it's a thing,
Yeah, I've had some embarrassing.
We all have. It's always a mistake. Yeah. And as you're doing it, you're like, don't do this. And you do it.
Yeah.
But he took pity on me. He was very nice about it. He didn't treat me like I was Travis Bickle.
Yeah. I did it once with Dennis Quaid, talking to a role that I had originated and that he had done in the movie. And I went up and introduced himself. And my friend Reed Birney, who you know, stopped me as I was telling him the story. Right. No, as I was telling Reed the story, he stopped me and he said, wait, you actually went up to him and you did that? And I said, yeah, I did. He said, let me ask you a question. How did that go in your head before you spoke to him in a way that made you feel good?
And your answer is that it didn't go. You didn't think it through. It didn't go through your mind at all. You didn't think it through.
But you catch yourself as it's happening. You're saying to yourself, "I didn't think this through," but the words keep coming out of your mouth. And it's a horrible experience.
But he was very gracious, and so I didn't feel idiotic. Okay. So I lucked out.
And you have a big night coming up, I believe, tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, tomorrow night. Well, I mean, technically, Amelia has a big night. I have an exciting night to go see a show for the first time in 2 years or more. But yeah, Amelia's show opens tomorrow at the Cherry Lane in New York, and
the show is
Coal Country, written and directed by Jessica Blank and Eric Jensen, and with original music by and performed by Steve Earle, who's on stage in the show every night, and it's really, really good.
It's at the Cherry Lane.
At the Cherry Lane Theater, yeah.
That's great. So everybody should go see that.
Everybody should. I mean, it's a small, there's only so many seats.
If you're within the sound of our voice, you should get there.
That's worldwide, man.
Oh, that's right. Well, let's go.
What about you? What was your? Well, this is it. That's all I have. What about you?
My week was busy. I borrowed a friend's pickup truck, and one of my partners and I went and picked up about 75 12-bottle cases of our booze last week, sample bottles to give out to distributors and influencers so that people can taste it and start talking about it, because we're getting ready to release soon. We need to bring it to restaurants and people who are managers at restaurant groups so they can taste it. But we also we've done something. I want to tell you about this because you might want to try it with one of my partners got me some oak chips, and he did this at home, but then got me some oak chips myself. And you can do this with like a nice bourbon or a scotch, and you can pour some bourbon or any kind of whiskey that you like into a mason jar with about an ounce of these toasted French oak chips, and you can let it sit for a couple of weeks and sort of do your own barrel aging at home. And you can do some pretty amazing things that way.
Micro barreling.
Micro barreling.
So you can
Yeah.
take like an average bourbon and
Yeah.
make it into something special.
Something really pretty incredible.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And you can buy them online, little bags of them, and then did you watch anything this week?
Other than Hand of God, which I saw at the theater, I checked out the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie on Netflix. And what else did I see?
Is that worth a watch?
A qualified yes, I think. Quite qualified.
Very qualified, yes.
Yes. It's I mean, if they're going to do this, they didn't do the worst things they could possibly have done.
Which would be like to remove the violence.
To remove the violence would have been a mistake in this franchise.
Yeah.
I think they upped it up. They upped it considerably. Let's put it that way. Well, there's actually not a lot of violence in Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's actually on screen. Almost all of it is off screen. And that's a weird thing about that movie, but everybody thinks that it is very graphic. It's not at all.
Huh. Okay.
This one, they decided to go the other route. It's spicy on the violence, but
okay.
But it also has some kind of fun commentary. And like the first one, it's a group of people that you are just delighted to see done away with.
Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it does some stuff that's right.
Boy, my imagination is just going wild right now, thinking of all of the people who I would be delighted to see done away with right now.
Well, it might be the movie for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Not unless it takes place in Washington. I don't know, because that's where most of my fantasies go.
Don't even.
Don't go to politics. No, I'm talking Washington State. Washington State. There's a lot of wilderness there.
Right.
Yeah, that's where you think of something like a massacre happening, is off in the woods, people camping.
Definitely. Well, Texas, out in the middle of the wilds of Texas. When was the last time you saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre? The original?
I never saw it. So that was the last time I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So I'm thinking that we might really do a slasher, like a grindhouse slasher month.
Okay, I'm up for that.
We kind of did a Christmas time thing, but that was a novelty, really.
Yeah. No, we have to go full slasher at some point.
Be fun. Okay,
Cool. Do that.
Cool.
And I guess I'm watching. I started watching, and I think I'm going to continue tonight after our show. A new show. I think it was on Netflix. No, Apple TV. Severance, it's called. With Adam Scott, who's an actor I enjoy and
Adam
admire.
Scott's great. Yeah,
he's terrific.
I think I know about this movie.
It's an interesting concept. The idea is that they have found a way to sever in your brain your work life and the rest of your life, so that when you are at work, you have no other personality or recollection of the rest of your life, and when you're in your regular life, you don't know what you do at work. So it's almost like the person who's at work never leaves. Like they don't.
Yeah. Right. That sounds good. I would see that.
So I'm checking that out.
Okay. Adam Scott's great. I was a fan of his show Ghosted. Did you ever watch that?
I didn't watch Ghosted.
That was fun.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I haven't seen his comedies. I've only seen his dramas.
Dramas. I think I'm the opposite.
Him being
I
dramatic.
mostly know him as a comic actor.
Yeah, I first got to know him in Big Little Lies, and I thought he was terrific in that.
Is that a television program?
Big Little Lies was Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman. It was yeah,
I didn't see it.
it was a show. I think if you looked it up on IMDb, the description of it was Big Little Lies, a show that Tony Arkin will not watch.
Well, that's just a lot of shows.
Yeah.
They're not. There's no special distinction there.
Yeah.
It might be a good moment to bring up a little bit of just show stuff. A friend of show, Peter Stray, who I saw today, had coffee with him today. He has an on-camera job, which he's getting ready to do, which is
Get
very
out of
exciting.
town.
He actually is a working actor right now.
Oh, wow.
And he was telling me about his plans to create original cocktails with batch 22 when he gets his greedy hands on a bottle. He's got recipes that sound great. That really sound great. So
Well,
I'm excited. I think he's going to do movie themed cocktails.
Oh, fantastic.
Something
Well, if he
like
doesn't
that.
come out to LA, I am coming back to New York in June because somebody I know is graduating from high school.
Who's
That would
that?
be my daughter
Oh,
going to be graduating from high school,
yeah.
and I will bring back some batch 22 for him.
All right, that's excellent.
If he doesn't get out here before then, or you could bring some batch 22 for him because I'm hoping that you'll get out here before then.
I'm coming out there. Don't you
I'm
worry about it.
Some launch events in May that you'll be able to come to.
I'm going to be there.
So
going to do it. The other thing I wanted to mention before we get into the movie or anything else, while we're talking about friends of show, our friend of show, Stephanie Spinner,
yes,
contacted me a couple of days ago. I've been super busy and haven't had a chance to email anybody back or call anybody back. But she had a couple of questions about the movie we didn't cover, but we talked about, called Riders of Justice.
Okay.
I don't want to answer the questions now because I need to do research on one of her questions before I answer her.
Okay.
But Stephanie, if you're listening and you're watching, hello, lots of love, and I will get to you tomorrow on that Riders of Justice thing.
And I should share with you actually, no, I'll share it another time. All right, I'll share it now.
All right, now I feel guilty. I don't.
Eric Tignini, who was the first AD.
Let's not. Maybe we shouldn't tell this.
No, yeah. Eric Tignini, first AD on Get Shorty, wonderful fellow. I ran into I saw he and his wife at a birthday party the other night, and found out that they're fans of the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like somebody actually like really in show business.
No kidding.
Is a fan of the show.
That's exciting.
I was flabbergasted. So guys, if you're listening to this episode, a little shout out and some gratitude to you for listening.
It's just incredible to think that people I learned that I knew Stephanie watched the show, for instance, but mom told me that Stephanie in fact really watches the show, and I think sometimes we critically, and I think we have to answer to some things.
We better step up our game.
I'm saying we got people watching at this point.
My God. Okay. And then I'm hoping soon to be able to report a little bit about Equalizer 2, Denzel.
Okay.
Equalizer 2. These are two movies I'm planning on seeing, Equalizer 2 and The King's Man.
So these are things that you're planning to do while you're sitting in your apartment, just kind of.
Well, I'm sitting in my apartment on the couch. When I get to the end of the day and I cannot work anymore, I generally collapse on the couch with a TV tray in front of me and watch a movie or a TV show.
It's a classic thing to do. It's a classic.
Yeah. But we're 15 minutes into the show, a show about movies. We're 15 minutes into the show and we haven't talked about the movie yet. So maybe we should talk about the movie.
I think this will be a half-hour show.
Oh, really? Well, no, it's gonna be no, because I have stories to tell about without even talking about this movie. I can fill time talking about the people in the
Oh,
movie.
I was kidding. First
Oh,
of
all right.
all, I'm a kidder, and second
No.
of all, yeah, you're right, because we know a thing or two. No need to brag, but we know a thing or
Oh,
two.
I'm gonna actually do a little bragging
Well,
because
it's our
I have something to brag about with this
the
movie.
show's got our name on it, so
Oh,
we
yeah.
can do what we want.
Yeah. So, tonight's movie, How to Steal How
How to steam millions? How steam
How to Steam a Mullion.
billions? How steam
Tonight
mullions?
tonight for
I
dinner,
don't.
we are having steamed
I'm
mullions.
so sorry. How do we steal mul? I can't read that.
Oh, God. All right, another sip of beer maybe will calm me down. How to Steal a Million, 1966, starring Audrey Hepburn, Peter O'Toole, Hugh Griffith, Eli Wallach, Charles Boyer, Marcel Dalio, Jacques Marin, and Moustache.
Let's just say, Moustache was the
Oh, we're
big.
gonna start with Moustache.
I don't want to explain it to people yet, but just Moustache is everything.
Yes.
It's
So
everything.
the setup for the movie is Audrey Hepburn is the daughter of Hugh Griffith, who is they live in a very fancy house in Paris, apparently have a lot of money because Hugh Griffith is a forger of works of fine art. And he loves forging these works of fine art and having them sold at auction and making lots and lots of money. And in their home, they have a famous statue of Venus that's actually a forgery that was made by Audrey Hepburn's grandfather, Hugh Griffith's father. And just for fun, not to make any money, but Hugh Griffith is loaning it to this fancy French art museum. Uh, Out of the goodness of his heart and patriotism, he's loaning a forgery, and all is going well. And then the director of the museum comes and says, "Yes, we need you to sign this paper so that the it will be insured for $1 million in case anything happens to it." And he signs the paper, and then he says, "Yes, and the insurance will go into effect as soon as the statue is authenticated by this expert who's coming to authenticate it." And they realize, oh my God, when the expert gets there to authenticate it, it's already in the museum. It's too late to say, no, give it back. They're going to find out that it's a forgery and all hell's going to break loose. So Audrey Hepburn has to, well, that's the one thing that's going on. And then the other thing that's going on is Audrey Hepburn wakes up in the middle of the night and hears noise downstairs and catches a burglar, Peter O'Toole, who is stealing one of the paintings, and she shoots him, grazes his arm, and then realizes that she can make a deal with this burglar to force him to help her steal the fake statue so that her father isn't caught. And hilarious hijinks ensue.
Hilarity ensues.
Yeah. So, do you give this one a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I don't know. I think I'm
Or a
kind of gonna.
waggle
I'm
of the
gonna. It kind of goes up and around. Yeah. I don't. I think there there are better examples of this genre of films like this. This I think was for me the least successful. But I say that kind of sadly because I have a lot of respect for William Wyler. Who I'm
Mhm.
actually in doing research for this movie, I kind of feel bad that I don't like it more because he's an amazing filmmaker. He's truly an incredible filmmaker in a lot of ways. I just don't. I didn't feel like they got this one. I don't know. Am I crazy?
I think you are not crazy, but I lay it at the feet of one particular problem.
Well, I do too. I'm
me.
really curious to see if we line up on that.
Zero chemistry
Bingo.
between
Exactly.
Peter O'Toole and Audrey Hepburn.
None. Zero. None. And they're two people I love.
Well, I love Peter O'Toole, but he is not this guy. He's the wrong guy for this
Yeah.
job.
She's the right person for the
She
job,
is
but he's really not.
150% the right person because basically there's another movie
Another better version of this movie.
that was made 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
We're thinking of the same movie, right?
I'm assuming you're thinking of Charade.
Yes. And I didn't really see, I mean, spoiler alert, at the end of this movie, there is a head slap moment where you go, oh my God, this is okay. Dad and Peter Falk made a movie called The In-Laws, which was a huge smash. And at some point, somebody said, you know what? We should make that movie again with Alan and Peter. Different characters, but basically the same story, the same thing.
Yeah, this is a true story.
Yeah, the crazy guy and the sane nerdy guy, and the crazy guy gets the same nerdy guy wrapped up in some insane plot, and everything goes haywire. And the second movie was a disaster, and in this wasn't as big a disaster as Big Trouble was. But it's really they're trying to capture the lightning in a bottle that was Charade, and they don't because they cast the wrong guy.
They did, or they or there could have been maybe another person who he could have played. He could have played this part with another person opposite him, perhaps. But I wouldn't want to see anybody else try a role like this, really, other than Audrey Hepburn. I mean,
No.
But you don't really want to see anybody do anything once you see Audrey Hepburn in a movie. You're kind of like, why can't she be in most movies?
Yeah.
But
and everything that circles around them in this movie is fun.
I will say yes and no. I think honestly, it takes a while to get off the ground.
Well, and the Eli Wallach storyline.
I really thought that was a dud. He
He
didn't seem comfortable in that part. Eli Wallach, who, another friend of the family's, we've certainly know.
And I got more stories about him.
Great guy, amazing actor. I don't think particularly well cast. And in fact, I know that there were other people that had the part and he replaced. George C. Scott was supposed to have that role.
Yeah.
And I think I can see that working better somehow.
Got fired.
He got fired, yeah. The rumor
because there were already two drunks.
There were already two serious alcoholics on set. Literally, yeah. You read the same thing. And William Wyler was like, "I'm not." He was late once. Yeah. He was late to work once, and Wyler fired him on the spot.
Yeah.
And I just want to stop and have a moment of silent respect for a man who has the courage to just turn to George C. Scott and fire him on the spot. Yeah, that's a scary. I'm sure that's a scary thing to do.
Well, we can have that moment of silence. I'll edit it out in the podcast because people.
Well, if you're doing that, I'll be back in it. I gotta get a sandwich. I'll be back in a minute.
All right, and we're back. Great. How was that?
Well, I love that we're aligned on that. I mean, really, truly, I felt like, apparently she was crushed that he was fired. She was very upset about that. But I was thinking about it. I was talking to Amelia about what it is about them that doesn't work. And I'm like, they're the same thing. They're like too much exactly the same. He's like a male version of Audrey Hepburn. Like he is elegantly beautiful. And he's like one of the most pretty men you've ever seen.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
And delicate and refined. And she kind of needs that. I think she plays well against that gruffer guy. Like Cary Grant was much more offhand with her and gruffer with her and Charade, and she kind of like is able to play off that energy really well.
Yeah. But there are moments in this movie that are just gems.
Absolutely, yeah.
Many little gems in this movie. The Audrey Hepburn has a moment when Hugh Griffith, whose performance is, it's just beyond.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's so. First of all, he you can just look at him, and that's good for 5 minutes, right? Before he even starts acting.
Yeah, and I hear he put Peter O'Toole to shame as far as pranks offset. That he is the most shamelessly crazy drunk man ever.
Well, did you hear the little tidbit about walking around the hotel?
Yes. Please tell that story.
Apparently, well, he was fired at a certain point from the production for persistent bad behavior. He was caught walking through the corners of the George V Hotel holding a do not disturb sign over his private parts, which he had altered to read do disturb.
Do disturb. You know, I mean,
and that takes
it takes a certain level of brilliance. I don't know
if you look like he did.
You know, it's a shame he never got to play the Keith Moon story, because the dude looks exactly like Keith Moon, and I think they partied the same way. He's the Keith
my
Moon
God.
of the boards.
God,
you know,
to be that kind of drunk, I just can't imagine it.
From all accounts, much fun was had by them.
I'm a much
not
quieter
so much fun
drunk.
was had by the people that had to clean up after them and deal with them. But
yeah, but Audrey Hepburn has a moment where they're looking at the statue that is going to go to the museum, and Hugh Griffith is talking about how it was carved. It was his grandmother. His grandfather carved it using his grandmother as a model. And then he says something about how beautiful she was before the effect of all of those big lunches. And Audrey Hepburn does the subtlest little, like, she puts her hand on her belly and looks down like, oh my God, is that my future?
Yes.
It's just this tiny little moment she has that's just astounding. She does a better dreamy look than anybody ever in the history of the world.
Yeah. She pretty much does. I mean, you know, she's just one of those performers that they're so iconic. They're so iconic on every level, and lasting. You know, the staying power that she's had as far as her presence. I mean, it's almost like her presence supersedes her acting at this point. She's just simply, you know, like the muse of the entire artistic community. Just decided she's it. You know?
Yeah, to the point where they put, I think, 3 homages in this movie to other roles that she had done.
Mm-hmm. Certainly Roman Holiday with the Hitchcock magazine. Right.
She's
reading an Alfred Hitchcock magazine. This is actually a very funny bit in this movie, actually, because the picture of Hitchcock, which kind of then she puts down on her face when she covers her face with it, looks like her face, and it's pretty fun.
But I also think that there's a reference to Sabrina with which she did with Bogey.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
With Peter O'Toole repeatedly doing the Bogey imitation.
A pretty terrible Bogey. That's a pretty poor exchange, actually.
Yeah. And then when he dresses her up as the washerwoman for the burglary of the museum, I think that's a reference to to Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. She comes out looking like that.
Probably.
And then all of those are kind of a reference to Charade, because in Charade they do a reference to My Fair Lady. When
that's right.
When she and Cary Grant get up to their floor in the hotel, and she says, "This is my floor," and he says, "Ah, yes, here on the street where you
Where You
live."
Live, which is the
Yeah,
song, right? Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So lots of Easter eggs showing up.
Lots of Easter eggs. William Wyler directed, of course, Roman Holiday, so he was in on that, and
Yeah.
discovered her as a director. Certainly was the one who found her. So they had a good relationship, obviously.
Well, I would
Um,
think you'd have a good relationship with the director who discovered you and you won an Oscar in your first role.
Yes, although it was a rare actor that returned, because a lot of actors had trouble with him.
Oh, I
As
didn't
far
know
as
that.
their direction, they wanted to work with him because they ended up with good performances, but they didn't get there because he helped them.
Really? Interesting.
No, they were on their own, and they would do he was famous for doing lots of takes, like legendary amounts of takes, like Stanley Kubrick style, or David Fincher style, and not give direction, just simply not say anything, just be like, do it again, do it again, do it again.
Wow.
So the actors would get there because apparently he wouldn't stop until you got it right, so it would be good.
Good Lord.
He said, "I don't run an acting school." That was what he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you see the charade twist at the end of this movie coming? Did you have, because that surprised me. I did not see that coming at all.
Vis-a-vis what he is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew what
Well,
he was the minute he showed up.
okay.
I knew it. I wasn't surprised by that. I mean, I liked, what really makes the movie worth it is the central heist. I feel like it takes a little bit too long to get to the planning of the heist.
Yep.
And once that starts, once she finally convinces him to do it, I think the movie gets much more entertaining.
Everything in the museum
It's
is
great.
it's well plotted.
And really funny, the conceit of how they steal it.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Well, and a lot of that goes to a lot of the credit for how funny it is goes to two performers. I mean, aside from O'Toole and
Oh,
Audrey.
sure. It's conceptually funny too. That's well written. I think that's a well written comic heist set piece.
Yeah.
But the performers,
Moustache and Jacques Morin is the two of them.
Well, let's cut right to the chase. That's you and I. For me, I'm
Yes.
Moustache, and you're his boss.
I'm honored. I had you down as Jacques Morin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I made myself the boring insurance agent because I didn't want to. I mean, I would rather do exactly what you just said, but I didn't feel like I could give
I think
myself.
that you and I could pull it together as a comic team in that to get the gig. Like,
Okay, yeah.
you could be like, look, you get Arkin and Arkin. You get the Arkin. We'll do it for price of one Arkin, and
Yeah.
you get both of us to do it.
Price of one Arkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that would be our thing.
Actually, I
wanna...
think half the price of one Arkin.
Oh, truly. Yeah. Like, did I mention Arkin? Don't think it's another word. Don't think of that name. It's another name. We'll do it for sandwiches. What do you? Can we have a job?
We would do it for sandwiches. Yeah.
Moustache. Anyway, please let's describe Moustache. I mean, you see, what's great is you see the name in the credits, Moustache, and there's a couple of great performers from France who are famous for one name. They started that whole Prince thing, and I think it was Capucine was the first actress that I knew who had one name. She was too sexy to have just two names.
Yes.
So
and she looked like a delicious little cup of coffee.
I don't know if she looked like a cup of coffee. Can't recall. I think she was an actress.
Well, I mean, you got to go with the coffee, otherwise it's a monkey.
That's true.
Right,
You look like a
right.
cute little monkey. Look at
You'd
you.
rather look like a
That's
delicious
what her
cup of
agent
coffee
said.
than a cute little monkey.
You look like just a little Reese's, like a little monkey.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. Whereas if I have one name, if I go with one name, it's going to be Bonobo.
Yeah. Bonobo
With
Arkin.
the big bulbous nose monkey.
Well, I'm making a bid for like a Mustache retrospective. He did other movies, but anyway, I thought it was a woman. I thought Mustache was going to be like maybe like an interesting cabaret performer of some woman had an interesting like an act at a cabaret.
With
No,
a mustache.
Mustache. Yeah, like some kind of midnight cabaret thing.
Yeah.
No, Mustache is a very large French man with a giant mustache.
With a giant mustache.
Which he
that
acts
he can
with.
make smile or make frown.
Yep. He can do all kinds of things with it. Puppetry of the mustache.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. That was Puppetry of the Mustache. I saw that show back in the day.
When it was called something else?
When it was called something else, I saw
did?
it. Yeah, I went and saw it.
You often went to the theater alone. I remember that.
No, I wasn't alone at that one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, there's some fun visual storytelling artistry in this movie. I love how during the heist sequence, there's a couple of they have this whole thing of all of these shots of different paintings of people sleeping, right? And then somebody in real life bored, right? The paintings that they show sort of mirror what's going on in the heist.
I noticed that in that one case, yeah.
Yeah, they did it twice. They did another one. I think it was the people holding other people and then them cramped together in the closet together. There was also a great moment where when she gets the idea to ask him to be the idea for the whole heist, she's looking at him and I don't remember if he's there or she's talking to her dad, and the Van Gogh is behind him, and she looks up at the Van Gogh that has the bright sun in it. She looks at the sun and it's like the light bulb moment, and she has the idea.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's elegantly shot, it's certainly beautiful in that really great Technicolor 60s way. And she has amazing outfits. She's of course, every time you see her, there's something either ridiculous because she's dressed like in these costumes, or just in high fashion and looks amazing.
And it's all Givenchy.
Yes, of course. It's all Givenchy, and the cars are really cool. There's a beautiful Jaguar. What is it? An XK?
Yeah.
What is it? I'm so stupid. I don't remember.
I think it's a 12. I think that's a 12-cylinder.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. This yellow Jag. And then she's got the tiniest car in the world.
Yeah, which was a high-end, I think sort of a high-end Fiat. It was the Fiat's luxury brand, I think. So it's not called a Fiat. It's the tiniest little thing.
There's great, great 60s style in it. They both look fantastic. He's dressed to the nines and looks great. And yet I had to, I gotta say, like, I felt like, again, here's a scenario where I just didn't believe these two people should be together or were going to be together. I didn't feel it at all.
When he kissed her and she's being all dreamy, I was like,
didn't work.
Didn't work at all.
She'd have her mind on other stuff. I don't believe that. Yeah.
I felt bad about that. You know what? I just want to take a break in talking about the movie for a moment, because there are too many people in this movie with whom I have had actual personal interactions more people in this one movie than anything we've watched, where I've
Is that
had
true? Really?
personal interactions of some kind or another. I'll
All
start with
right.
Peter O'Toole. I didn't actually have an interaction so much with him as that I ended up at a table with him at a fancy after party after an opening. During I think there were like 7 or 8 days where I was a big deal in New York, maybe 9.
Mhm.
And during that time, I got to go to some openings and, fancy stuff and go to the after parties. And we were at this private after party at some very fancy place. And this was in somewhere around 2000. So I think he was somewhere around 70 maybe at the time. I'm not sure of the ages. And we ended up at the same table, like in a corner big banquette, you know. And he was sitting there all dressed up in somewhat foppish finery with a very young man with him who he's got his arm around in a very possessive way. And I'm looking at him incredibly just so much judgment dripping off of me, because it just really turned my stomach that he's sort of got this guy with him who's way too young for him, and he's being really proprietary and really displaying the guy. And I'm getting nauseous, and then later in the evening discover that it's his son
I was
Lorcan.
just gonna say because
And I'm an ass.
I yes. I never heard that he was well known to have been quite a ladies' man, Peter O'Toole.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have thought that later in life he had changed that, but that is pretty damn funny.
Yeah. So I'm just, what an ass I am. And then
I'm sorry you didn't say something and be like, you know what, I've sat here long enough. I can't. This is America. We do things different, Peter. We do
yeah.
things differently.
Have you met my son?
Have you met my son?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could have really humiliated myself. And then there's Eli,
Well, of course, we
who,
mentioned Eli. I've had many dinners with him, but you know him. I only had. I was a little kid, and I was like, "Oh, here's Uncle Eli."
yeah.
He was like your babysitter, wasn't he?
Well, no, I don't know so much that, but that he was, when I can remember just wanting to become an actor because of watching Eli and Dad in Love and watching that from
Which was the name
backstage.
of a play.
A play. Yes.
They liked each
They
other a
weren't in
lot,
love.
but they
They
weren't in
weren't in
love.
love. And but then my first big television role was in the summer of 1975 on a 2-hour season premiere of Kojak. And lo and behold, I'm playing Eli's son. And it was so amazing to have my first sort of real job where I had scenes that I had to do,
Right.
to be with him. It was just extraordinary. And he was so avuncular and so lovely and just made it easy. And I was
That's
still
really
pretty
cool.
bad. And
Were you?
regardless of that, I was still pretty bad. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Well, he did
I
what he
looked
could.
I had this nervous tick when I was younger acting where I would like do stuff with I look like I'm trying to eat my own lips, basically,
Mhm.
gnawing on my own lips as
He
I'm
loves
acting.
acting so much that he gnaws his own lips off.
Yeah. But the I think the best story is that in 1966, when a couple of Audrey Hepburn stories, when Dad was making Wait Until Dark with Audrey Hepburn, and sadly, this is before you were born,
Yeah.
so you didn't have the opportunity, but I was on set and she's playing a blind woman, and she banged her shin into a chair in one scene where she's supposed to bump into a chair that somebody has moved, and she bruised her shin. And I remember clearly to this day sitting on her lap with her ankle up on another chair, and I was sitting on her lap holding an ice pack on her shin. And that memory has gotten me through many a cold night.
That's a good memory to have. Wow, that's incredible.
But then there's another memory, and I asked permission to tell this story of going to a party, and I don't remember if it was at her house or somebody else's house, but it was an afternoon pool party.
Yeah.
And Audrey Hepburn came out in a bikini, and Mom burst into tears. I think she may not have been alone. I think
probably several people, men, women, and children started crying. Yes,
several of the women and many of the men may have burst into tears.
Probably. Oh, that's so funny. Well, I didn't meet her then. I wasn't born then. I did get a chance to meet her briefly at a big function. She had a big Audrey Hepburn celebration at Lincoln Center, I think. And Dad got invited and Mom was invited. They had an extra ticket. I got to go. And that was something. I met her backstage just briefly, just like shook hands, hello, but she was very gracious.
Just everything you would want her to be.
Yeah, I mean, in those few seconds, I certainly didn't hang out with her, but she had been through an incredibly long evening and had met 3,000 people and was exhausted, and yet it was like meeting, royalty in the best sense of the word, just incredibly gracious and just seemed like a really sweet person. Of course, Dad thought the world of her.
And really then there was those nights where we got to hang out with her at the Shannon Star,
well, yeah, and La Caridad. She was big.
Back.
She was big into La Caridad late at night,
The
after
Kiev,
going to the Dublin house. Yeah. All the stuff that the show people did together.
Yeah.
I bet she would have actually enjoyed all of that. From what I've heard, she was certainly not prudish or like, but probably would have gone home early. Been like, that's very nice, but I'm going to go home now.
Yes.
So who else do you know? Right. You've met everybody. You know Charles Boyer?
No, I that's the extent of my stories about people in this particular movie.
Can I just say that I thought who Eli reminded me very much of in this movie was Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
He was
I can see that.
Like, shocked me,
Yeah. Do you have favorite lines? I have a couple of favorite lines.
I think my favorite line is they're looking at the Venus statue, which is a little statue of this naked woman, the Venus. And Peter O'Toole's looking at it, and he seems to see a familiar, like a similarity between this woman and in the sculpture and Audrey Hepburn. And he's kind of looking back and forth, and he's saying, that was you. That could have been you back in 400 years ago. And she says, that's not how I was dressed.
Yes, that was good. I like that. I had three moments of dialogue that I love is when Hugh Griffith says to her early on in the movie when she's telling him he's got to stop with selling the forgeries, he's going to get caught, and she says, the basic trouble with you is that you're honest. Oh, I don't say that to hurt your feelings.
Yes. There was some really clever dialogue and funny writing in it, and I just kept on wishing that it had been delivered by Cary Grant.
Yes. Then he also says we live in a crass commercial world with no faith or trust when he realizes he's going to get caught because of the insurance examination. But my favorite line is when Hugh Griffith meets Peter O'Toole and Peter O'Toole makes a hasty exit. And it's after the heist, and it's after they've fallen in love in the closet during the heist. And Peter O'Toole makes a hasty exit, and Hugh Griffith says, is he always so abrupt? And she says, not in the closet. Like, wow, that was pretty risque for back then.
Yeah. Yeah, well, 66. They were trying
Yeah,
to break out.
yeah,
They were definitely trying to break out. There was just such a strange moment where there was a couple of moments where it looked like they were trying to infuse a little screwball comedy into this, and it just didn't work. Like,
no,
I don't think William Wyler's that kind of director, really, and they weren't able to pull it off. But like the goofiness in the closet of their elbow in the face and his leg up, and it went on too long, and it didn't really work.
no.
And then that weird take where Eli Wallach runs into the mirror. It was like they were trying to do a Preston Sturgis moment where he's like makes an exit and he thinks it's a doorway and he hits the
Yeah,
mirror, and it was just like, what is going on right now?
no, doesn't work
But there
a
were
lot.
cool, I thought, little touches before they really start the heist part of it. He has to create a diversion, and it was a thing you see in a lot of spy movies where how do you create a little diversion, right? You know, a
Right,
million ways to do it. I just thought the way they did it was so smart, where he took the brochure for the art gallery and put it on a place where he knew that would pick it up as trash, right?
right.
And he put coins in it. So when they picked it up, it would scatter and everybody would turn and look at the coins and get them so that they could get away. I just thought that was a really smart, clearly written thing. You know, that was good screenwriting.
Yeah, I thought for having to come up with a heist that was complicated and interesting in a low tech era, they really did it. They pieced it together
Yeah.
like one of those, one of those things where you drop the ball and it goes into the cup
Like a
and then the
Rube
cup flips
Goldberg
over. Yeah.
machine. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they plotted it out very effectively that way.
And they also use they like in great fighting in films where characters are kind of expressed through fighting style,
Yes.
in action movies. Um, they kind of made interesting use of the method of getting the statue. Basically, what Peter O'Toole does, spoiler alert for a movie from 1966, is that he sets the alarm off on purpose and doesn't steal it, goes back and hides. So the guards all come down, they're freaked out, nothing's missing. So they assume after he does it twice that it's a malfunction in the system so that they start disregarding it when it goes off again, which gives them enough time to actually do it and they
To
don't
actually
notice.
do it. Yeah.
So smart.
Very
And
smart.
such like commentary on him being like a smart detective guy, not a criminal, but a
Right.
detective. And commenting on how people are like just lazy, that they're not really gonna, you know, they're not really gonna check a third time.
And sold, that whole plot point is sold, I think, by Jacques Morin,
Mm-hmm.
who plays the head guard and sort of walks us very deliberately through all of the emotional steps that the guards have to go through to get to that point of being so frustrated they're just
Right.
going to turn the damn thing off. That at first it wakes up the head of the Interior Ministry, then it wakes up Charles de Gaulle,
Which we never say, but we know it's De
they never
Gaulle, which
say,
I
but you
love.
know it's de
Yeah.
Gaulle, and the police come from
Because
you
the
know the
alarms are
Jacques.
so loud, is what the thing
Yeah,
was the joke is.
yeah,
Great
and
setup to this too, though, because they set this up in the smartest way, and you don't know that that's what they're doing, but they are. In the drive that they take to case out the exterior of the museum,
right,
he's going, there's cops everywhere. And she's, what do you mean? There's just a few guards in the museum. He goes, no, there's cops here by the embassy. There's cops here by the president's house. There's cops everywhere.
right,
And you realize the museum is right next to de Gaulle's house, like
yeah,
where he stays.
yeah. So they've
And that doesn't
laid
pay
that all
in,
in place.
but they
Yeah,
they set it up so elegantly.
yeah. Um, the what would your double feature be with this?
Well, I was really torn. I was torn, but I think that I'm going to go with What did I say? I think I'm going to go with Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh my God.
That was you too?
That's what I had. I had the Thomas Crown Affair.
Well, we are in agreement on this one, man.
And I
Oh, my
thought you
God.
could go completely in the other direction also. I also put down Thief to just go like with
Okay.
just
Yeah.
the darkest
Right.
alternative to this. But my first choice was Thomas Crown
Yeah.
Affair. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it when we see eye to
romantic
eye.
art thief movie, you know?
And what about if you were gonna recast it today?
I only got the three main characters down.
Okay.
But I felt like you and I would probably be in agreement that it would probably be Emma Stone.
That's who I have. And who did I pair with Emma Stone?
That I don't know.
Well, I went with Ryan Gosling.
Well, that would be amazing. That would really
Yeah.
be that would solve the problem.
Yeah, because the chemistry would be there, and you wouldn't know it to watch him in Drive, but if you watch The Nice Guys, he is funny.
Oh, he's hysterically funny. Yeah, he can be really, really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big fan.
And
I'm
what
a
about
huge
for her
Ryan
what
Gosling
about for her dad?
Russell Crowe.
Okay, I had John Malkovich.
Malkovich would be great too. I
And
picked Jude Law for the role of Peter O'Toole, but he's probably a
okay,
little old for it now.
and I had Steve Carell as the guard
Looks just like him
and John C. Reilly as Mustache.
as Mustache. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Oh my
I love
gosh.
it. We agreed
Well,
on so many of these points. That's crazy.
look at this, a movie that we just saw pretty much. Oh, wait, there's another actor who we haven't talked about,
Who's that?
Marcel Dalio,
Oh, right.
who I also got to meet.
That's right. I did
Um,
too, but I don't
yeah,
remember meeting him.
you were 2, I think, or 1.5.
Yeah, I was very small.
You were tiny. He
No,
bounced you on his knee. Maybe you got to sit on his lap and hold an ice pack.
I hope so. I'm shocked
Um,
to find out there's gambling here.
um, uh, but, yeah, brilliant, brilliant actor and wonderful in this. Oh, we also haven't mentioned that Hugh Griffith has a spectacular spit take in this movie.
Where does he have a spit take?
At one point when he finds out something that surprises him, I forget where it is,
I
but he
think
does
Hugh Griffith tries to put one in every movie
he
if he
did a
can.
great spit take. He did a great spit take. And so, interestingly, and this was not planned, but Marcel Dalio is in next week's movie as well.
He's in Bridget Jones' Diary? Oh, no, that's not
No,
next week.
next week we're doing Pillow Talk, 1959, Doris Day, Rock Hudson, Tony Randall, who I got some stories about,
Yeah, you do have that.
Thelma Ritter, and Marcel
That's
Dalio.
right.
Yeah.
Before we, I have one last thing to say because I'm not really known as a font of knowledge about haute couture or fashion, but I did notice something. Somebody beat Audrey to the punch on one of the most interesting fashion choices she had in the movie. And do you know what it was and who it was I'm talking about? And I'm talking about 15 years. And actually
Wow.
wears it better than Audrey.
Get out of town.
I'm not kidding. You remember the mask veil she wears?
Yes.
The bandit
Yeah,
mask, kind of high concept bandit mask she wears.
right.
You
George
know,
Hamilton.
how did
Zara.
you know what I was going to say? No, worn first and arguably better by Gene Simmons in the great, completely underseen movie So Long at the Fair from 1950.
Wow.
And if you look up pictures of Gene Simmons in that, you will see that Audrey has some competition.
We have a comment from the viewer Camille Renner, who asks, "What about The Hot Rock as a double feature? Hilarious dialogue, Ron Liebman, Redford, George Segal, Paul Sand." That's a good
That's a
one.
great one, Camille. And if I will be completely honest and say that that's a film I've never seen that one. So I would love to have an excuse to see a movie that I never got a chance to see, with all those people in it. So let's notate that as something we should do
Let's
later on.
write that down somewhere. So I think we've covered this one, no?
I do. Did you look up Gene Simmons?
Oh, you want me to look up Gene
I want to
Simmons
see your
now?
face when you see this, when you see what I'm talking about.
And what movie was it?
It's called So Long at the Fair.
Gene Simmons, So Long at the Fair. And you're saying it was better than...
I am.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, it's like Catwoman's time. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a really great movie too, which people should check out. A really nice thriller. Anyway,
With Dirk Bogarde.
that's the last. Yes.
Dirk Bogarde, who was no slouch.
No, he had great posture.
Okay. So next week, Pillow Talk.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't, but it's not the first Rock Hudson Doris Day movie I've seen. I think I've seen one. They made a few, I believe, and I've seen one of them. So I kind of know what I'm in for.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, Mike Lindell is not in this movie. Just anybody listening who thinks they're going to see Mike Lindell, he had nothing to do with the production of this film.
Okay. I don't get this.
Mike Lindell, My Pillow Man.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I forgot all about that guy. No, this is a different filmmaker entirely.
And I will say that as disappointed as I was in the chemistry between Peter O'Toole and Audrey Hepburn, it would have been okay with me if I looked like Peter O'Toole.
So it would have been okay with you if you were Peter O'Toole in this situation and had no chemistry.
Or just in life, if I looked like Peter O'Toole.
Oh, well, it would be good for you.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, it would be nice to look like that.
Oh my God.
No doubt.
Yeah. So
did you notice about him though? Last thing I'll say, I noticed something about Peter O'Toole. I think it's a very like Royal Shakespeare Company move that he never stopped doing once he started doing movies.
Yeah.
Because usually you leave it on stage. But have you noticed that he runs out of almost every scene? It's this thing. He kind of like lunges and runs, finds a way to kind of leap and run out of every shot that he's in. It's really funny.
Yeah. He's thinking to himself, exuent.
Exactly. He's doing he just never gave up on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my last comment. This has been great. I love agreeing with you on this movie. We saw exactly the same movie.
This was amazing.
Yes.
It's a red letter day. All right. So join us next week. Like us on all social media. Download our podcast. Tell your friends about it. And have a great week. And join us next week for Pillow Talk.
Can't wait.
Good night.
Good night.
I have to do this. I forgot the whole end credits thing.
So all right, we're still going.
We're still going, and now we're saying good night.
Farewell.